This morning, Republicans hit a roadblock trying to close voting precincts on college campuses. Turns out it's their own party standing in the way. Tarrant County Commissioner Manny Ramirez defends his opposition amid MAGA backlash. The race to become Speaker of the Texas House is growing again. This time, it's a Democrat running. Ana Maria Ramos on the strategy behind her campaign. 44 days until the election, Republicans in South Texas raising concerns about whether their party is doing enough to win legislative races there. And Liz Cheney returns to Texas to campaign for Colin Allred.
I have not endorsed in any other Senate race this time around.
What she says about Ted Cruz ahead of the state's biggest campaign.
Inside Texas Politics with Jason Whiteley starts now.
Good Sunday morning, I'm Jason Whiteley. Let's get straight to it with the top political headlines happening here in our state. More Texas women than ever before are dying from childbirth, according to a new study from state lawmakers. This is called the maternal mortality rate. New numbers show it's getting worse here in Texas. Black and Hispanic women have a much greater chance of dying within a year of giving birth than white women do. The legislature has tried to address this for years, but lawmakers now saying obviously more needs to be done. Travis County is going on the offense right now against Attorney General Ken Paxton. This all started when Travis County mailed out voter registration applications to people who are not registered. Paxton sued over it, saying ineligible people might register after all. But Travis County now going to federal court arguing Paxton is violating the National Voter Registration Act and asking a federal judge to let it continue sending these applications out. A different court let Bexar County keep doing it as well after Paxton sued there too. And it is getting difficult to be a student, more difficult rather, to be admitted as a student at UT Austin. The state's flagship university tightened entry requirements again. Now students have to be in the top 5% to automatically get admitted. It was the top 6%. UT Austin had to make this change after getting a record-breaking 73,000 applications for undergraduate admissions. Let's start this morning with an issue that's percolating among Republicans all across this state. Some of them want to close voting locations on college campuses. It's no secret, generally speaking, that young people lean more Democratic and sometimes vote that way as well, too. But the Republican Tarrant County judge has tried to do just that. What he did not expect was the opposition from the two fellow Republicans on the court there. Commissioner Manny Ramirez this morning on why he voted to keep voting machines at local colleges. Commissioner, welcome to the program here. Did you expect this backlash from fellow Republicans?
You know, Jason, I think that any time that, you have a family, you're going to have disagreements. Any time that you have...
These are public disagreements.
I know,
this is not an internal family squabble.
But I'll tell you this. So I've been a police officer for 15 years. I served in the gang unit. I served in robbery. I served in patrol. I've been in plenty of fights. This is not a fight. I think that any time that you've got policy positions, any time that you've got practices involved, that you're going to have disagreements and that folks are going to view things differently, and that's okay. I think the main theme, though, and the main thing is we have to make sure that we're focused and that we are collectively guided towards the same mission, which is winning in November.
Judge O'Hara said there's low turnout there and closing these locations would save the county money. The Tarrant County Republican Party kind of got more to the point here in the politics and said closing these would help the party win in November. What do you think this is all about?
Well, ultimately, I think what it's about for me is making sure that we're protecting access to the vote. As I mentioned, I think that we've got a compelling message for college students.
But was it on the other side, Commissioner? Do you think that this was all about suppressing the vote?
I can't speak to the motivations of anybody for why they take the stances that they take. I can only speak to mine. And my motivation for making the motion to protect our voting sites in general truly was to back the recommendations of our elections administrator. We pay this person to do that job full time to discover which sites are the most useful, which sites are most convenient for our citizens, and they make those recommendations. So it's my duty as a commissioner not to do their job, but it's to follow those recommendations and make sure we're providing equal and fair access to voting sites.
The Tarrant County GOP said you're not upholding the party's values and you're undermining the Republican Party's chances of winning in November by wanting to close those voting locations on college campuses. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I wouldn't characterize it as that. And obviously, the folks that have reached out to me have expressed their displeasure with the local party's messaging. But I can tell you this, At the end of the day, we'll all be unified and we'll all be on the same team, because what really matters is making sure that we're getting out there with solid messaging to win in November, because we know it's conservative policies, not politics, that win in November. It's conservative results, not conservative rhetoric. That's what makes society great. Texas is a great state because of conservative policies that have helped us build this infrastructure. And I know we've got a compelling message to tell in November. We've got a compelling message to tell to college students. These are college students, they're just now learning their identity. They're going to get out there in the world, and we're the party of economic opportunity, the party of economic interest, and the party of more jobs, lower taxes. We're the party that says you can be anything that you want to be if you put your mind to it and you work hard enough. And so I think we've got a compelling message to carry to college students. And so ultimately, I don't think it undermines anything.
You're downplaying this as an internal family squabble here, but the Tarrant County GOP, Beau French, the chairman there, issued a veiled threat and said essentially that this vote, could cost you in the next election with endorsements or something like that. Do you think you'll pay a price for it?
Well, I'll tell you this. I was a police officer for 15 years. I've got very, very thick skin, and I don't scare easily. I'll say I don't think this is a fight at all. I think that we can unite and carry this message forward. And like I said, I think that there's going to be disagreements. Not everybody's going to agree on everything, but we can all agree on some things. And the one thing conservative Republicans agree on is that we have to win in November.
Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's bring in the roundtable to talk about the politics of this. Bud Kennedy is here from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. I am Mitra in Austin with the Texas Tribune, and Bernadine Steptoe, political producer here at WFAA in Dallas. One of the lines that he delivered there, Bud, was conservative policies are the winning message, not politics. Is this a turning point in GOP politics in Tarrant County and maybe statewide if you zoom out a little bit here?
Well, this reflects the split in the Republican Party in Tarrant County. There are Republicans in a purple county, nearly purple. There hasn't been a Democrat at the courthouse in 30 years. But there are Republicans who want to recruit Democrats and recruit young people and say, this is the way to go. He's a young Latino who wants to recruit other young people to vote Republican. On the other side of the party, you have people who literally want to drive Democrats away. The county party chairman says his goal is to make Tarrant County inhospitable to Democrats, so they won't even move there. It's a divide in the party. Manny's on the side of get people to vote Republican.
And this could only happen in a purple county then, huh?
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. One of the things that stood out to me from what Commissioner Ramirez says was, he was following the advice of his elections administrator in terms of serving what's best for the county. So he followed that advice. So, he was trying to take the politics out of this, saying that this is what was recommended in terms of what would provide best access. And he was also talking about the message and not just assuming that all college students are going to vote a certain way. And so to win with message too. So that really stood out from what the commissioner had to say.
Bernadine?
And what is even more remarkable is that they're having this fight, 2 months out from an election? And instead of the party coming together to turn out a large voting bloc for former President Trump, they're fighting, which is sort of what the state does anyway. Because remember the March primaries.
And as Bud says, we've been watching this at a different scale all across the state in different places. A lot more ahead, including this coming up here.
When we come back here, Liz Cheney doing something in Texas that she isn't doing anywhere else in the country. Our interview with her and Colin Allred. And the latest candidate running for Speaker of the Texas House is a Democrat. Ana Maria Ramos on why she thinks she has a shot in a Republican-ruled chamber. Inside Texas Politics, back in just a moment.
Welcome back to Inside Texas Politics. Now to the biggest race in the state, the race for U.S. Senate. Democrat Colin Allred with another big boost. Liz Cheney returned to Texas to campaign with him, and both of them sat down to take our questions in an interview you can see in its entirety online here at the TV station. But here's part of that conversation with my colleague, Teresa Woodard.
Thank you both for your time. We appreciate it. It's good to see you both together. I know that a friendship kind of bloomed out of January 6th and some things you experienced together. But Congresswoman Cheney, I have to believe you are closer in policy to Ted Cruz than you are to the congressman here. So why are you campaigning against Ted Cruz?
I feel that this race is such an important one. I have not endorsed in any other Senate race this time around. But I served with Colin. I know him. I know what kind of a congressman he's been. I watched him, as you said, we were on opposite sides of issues and opposite sides of the aisle. Not every issue on opposite sides, but I also know Ted Cruz. You know, I've known him for over 20 years, and I know that he will say anything if it serves his own political purpose. And the nation is at a moment where we need public servants who are men and women of goodwill, who are men and women who will do the right thing. I think it's really important that we have serious people in office. And so when there's a candidate who is as competent and somebody the kind of character as Colin, I think it's very important that we support them.
Congressman Allred, I want to look at some numbers here. I was looking at some of the recent polling from the Texas Politics Project. It was last month, and it says 28% of independents, about 15% of Republicans say they just don't know enough about you yet. Do you think that bringing Congresswoman Liz Cheney to Texas helps you reach any of those people who don't know enough?
I want principled conservatives in this state to know that I want them to be a part of this campaign, that they are welcome in our coalition, that I'll be their senator as well, that I'll uphold our values and our commitments to the Constitution. That's why I'm so proud to have Liz here, and that's what I hope that Texans can start to learn.
Congresswoman Cheney, you have long fought against some of the things that Congressman Allred and Vice President Harris fight for. Do you ever envision a time when you sort of reunite with the Republican Party? What would have to happen for you to feel like they are embracing your ideals now?
Well, I look at it a little bit differently. You know, when I think about my time in Congress, the most fruitful and I think productive exchanges that I had were, with people like Colin, who we could, find each other on the floor and say, wait a minute, you tell me why you think that, and I'll tell you why I think this, and let's talk about it, and let's exchange views, and let's learn from each other. And so I think that it's really, really important for us, again, and for voters, as you go to vote, to think about, am I casting my vote for somebody who's going to listen to me, somebody who's going to consider all perspectives and viewpoints, and somebody that I respect, that I trust. And I think that, again, we just need to recognize how important these positions are. And I hope that we can get back to a place where, we're having substantive and fruitful exchanges about policy. That's how you, build the best path forward for the country.
Really appreciate it. Congresswoman Cheney, Congressman Allred, thank you.
Yeah,
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Now to Austin, the race for Speaker of the Texas House is growing again. 5 Texas Republicans are challenging the incumbent, Dade Phelan, arguing he is not conservative enough. But now a Democrat is also running for this position in a chamber controlled by Republicans. Our conversation now with Ana Maria Ramos, a state rep who represents parts of Dallas, Richardson, and Garland. Representative, welcome to the program. You're a Democrat in a majority Republican body. Why are you running for Speaker?
Well, thank you so much for having me and allowing me to be here with you all this morning. I am really excited to run for Speaker of the House because although the body says Democrat versus Republican, the state of Texas is full of people from all walks of life and different parties who are also have a vested interest in this election. And that's why I'm running for the voters.
But you're elected by the membership in the House there. Do you think that you could get any Republicans to vote for you when there's already 5 Republicans running?
So here we are, and this is great. It's a wonderful question. Thank you. We are about almost 50 days away from Election Day, about 2 weeks away from early voting. These are not the only individuals. Right now, what we have are not necessarily the individuals who are going to vote for Speaker on November the 5th. And this campaign is about making that change.
Walk me through the politics of this. If there are 5 Republicans running, is the idea here that they might split the Republican vote and you might swoop in with all the Democrats behind you?
Well, they are already splitting the vote, so that's already happened. So this is not anything new. They have already split their vote. They have 86 members and about 5 or 6 people running. Although what is most unfortunate is about these individuals who are running for Speaker of the House. Most of them, if not all of them, are vying for a higher office. They're not really focused on making Texas better for Texas working families. Their focus is running for Senate or attorney general or whatever else it is. But the focus is not where it should be, which is Texas voters. So whether they split their vote or not, which they've already done, is not my priority. My priority as a former educator, as a Texan, is to let the people know you still have a say in this. It has not been predetermined. And it is time that we really start bringing back the focus to the people. And so whether they split their vote or not, or they should be worried because they are so fragmented and chaotic. And that is a place to be worried. But Democrats stay united in protecting our public schools, and that's what we're going to continue to fight for.
If you're elected speaker, would you appoint Republicans to chair any committees?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Texas is not just a Democratic state, and we know that, right? Texas is mostly Democrat, but we don't have the voting numbers that we need to. But we have valuable, good, hardworking Republicans, not only across Texas, but in the Texas House. And unfortunately, because of the MAGA extremists, a lot of those reasonable Republicans were wiped out during the primaries, and it is most unfortunate because these are good people who truly care about Texas. We may disagree in politics, but those were really good people that we have replaced with MAGA extremists. So to answer your question, absolutely. I would definitely work in a bipartisan manner to bring the Republicans to the forefront too, so that we can all sit around the table and make good decisions for Texas working families.
Representative, good luck to you. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. And come on, Texans, go out and vote.
The roundtable is ready when we come back here on Inside Texas Politics. And Texas Republicans say they are concerned about voter integrity, but why aren't they doing more to protect our voter rolls? Republicans removed us from the multi-state organization called ERIC that looks for duplicate registrations and ineligible voters. The problem is state leaders have yet to find a replacement just as we head into November. An eye-opening episode of Yolitics. You can look for it wherever you get your podcasts. All right, time now for Reporters Roundtable to put the headlines in perspective. Bud, Ian, and Bernadine all back with us here. But let's talk about Republicans in South Texas. I'm going to ask Ian about it in a moment here because the Texas Tribune did a tremendous story on it. But Republicans in South Texas are concerned that the party is not doing enough now to help win legislative races. What's going on there? Because just a few years ago, we heard about this huge investment that the GOP was making.
You know, the state party is in trouble in general. They lost money on their convention. They can't afford much staff. They don't have much talent. You know, Chairman George hasn't been able to turn the corner. And he's out there attacking. We saw Commissioner Ramirez in the previous segment. You know, he said that Commissioner Ramirez was hurting the party by by trying to attract more voters, by trying to broaden the base. The chairman is not doing well. That's why they brought in Beth Van Dyne to lead a victory campaign.
And Ian, this is a fascinating story at TexasTribune.org here. But what do you guys make of this, of kind of what's happening there on the ground?
You know, Republicans have been very bullish about South Texas and being able to kind of build on some of their gains there. And you know what's happened here is like 29 county level county level chairs have written to the state party asking, like, you know, we're concerned about the deteriorating fundraising, you know, issues about voter outreach. And so the state GOP responded saying that they're going to make a bigger investment with door knockers, with poll watchers and workers. But that's still, you know, there are some tight races down there. You look at Mayra Flores challenging Vicente Gonzalez. You look at the Morgan LaMantia, Adam Hinojosa race. They're tight races. And if Republicans don't see that they've made progress there, that could lead to some tensions post-election.
There are tight races, and there's also a tight window for this too, isn't there, Bernadine? We're what, 44 days away?
And to come out now and say that we're getting ready to put all of these resources in there, what have you been doing the whole process? So I think that obviously Chairman George can't raise the money, or they don't think they can win. Because it's unbelievable that you're having the local GOP county elected officials saying, we need help.
Reaching out about it.
We need help. And so, but you know what? Remember, the alarm was sort of talked about when they were having the elections. That if putting in this administration won't necessarily do what we need to get done for the November election. Wow. And it's coming to bear. Speaking
of the November election, Bud, 2 weeks left to register to vote. Governor Abbott bragging recently about wiping 1 million names off the voter rolls. Of course, this is standard process for people who are felons or people who die, et cetera, or move out of the state. But are some Texans going to go show up to vote on November the 5th or vote early and not see their name on the rolls?
Well, Jason, look what has happened here. They've been bragging, now they say they wiped 1 million off the rolls. They've been talking about wiping people off the rolls. So people registered again to be sure they could vote. Now they say there's 1 million duplicate registered voters that they need to clean up. It's a no-win situation for these election officials. The election integrity protesters have them trapped either way into some sort of argument that this is a rigged election.
And how in the world did Republicans get themselves in this mess?
This is a continuing thing in terms of the challenges of trying to talk about election integrity, and we just want to make sure also, that there are, if you have questions, there are resources online to check and make sure. But the registration deadline in Texas is October 7th, so there's opportunities to see if you're, what your registration status is before that, and get, either go online or work with your county officials, county offices to make sure you're registered.
Yeah, that's a good point. But before you even go vote, make sure that you are registered, and you can do that online, either your local county administrator, and there are other places, I believe, too. Maybe the SOS. I'm not sure if the Secretary of State's office has that or not. But Bernadine, what do you make about the politics of this? We talk about in this week's episode of Y'all-itics about how the state has not replaced ERIC, the Electronic Registration Information Center, to look at duplicates. Voters all across the state, if there are any. There may not be any, but if there are any. This is all Republican doing.
Well, and you know what? It plays into the narrative that Republicans do not want to increase the vote. I mean, the Tarrant County GOP chair said that if people vote, we lose. So if they have enough people on the register, which also, let me quickly say, that this is saying to voters, go check your registration, because you don't know who they have purged from the rolls, but you have Republicans saying that we want to suppress, in other words, that's my word, suppress the vote. Yeah. So it just plays into that narrative.
And sage advice, and thanks for that as well, too. Don't forget to check your voter registration if you're interested in whether you can vote as well, too. Thanks for watching this week. We're back next Sunday to take you inside Texas politics.